Ever notice how some people, they're like, always got to try the newest gadget, the latest learning hack. And then there are others like, they're happy with their routines, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You see it everywhere.
Well, today we're taking that idea that like, ooh, shiny new thing versus if it ain't broke and diving into how it plays out with, get this, doctors in Iran.
Okay, now that's a deep dive. But seriously, it's a really interesting angle.
Right. We're talking about how these doctors are choosing to get their CME, that's continuing medical education for those just tuning in, online versus the old school ways.
And what's fascinating is this isn't even like super high-tech stuff we're talking about. This study, it really gets at those underlying preferences that kind of make us tick.
And to decode all that, we've got this theory, the theory of planned behavior. Sounds a little textbooky, I know.
It's a bit. But think of it like those code-breaking rings you got in cereal boxes as a kid.
Oh, I loved those.
Right. So this theory, it helps us crack the code of why people do what they do. Like why hit that enroll button for an online course or say, nope, I'm good, and stick with the textbook.
Yeah.
It's not random. There are forces at work.
Forces at work, I like it. So we've got these GPs, general practitioners in Iran, and like you were saying, Iran back then, not exactly Silicon Valley.
No, not quite. But they could get this, up to half their CME credits online if they wanted.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is, but the system, super basic.
Right.
Think more like CD-ROMs, offline courses.
Okay, so less Netflix and learn, more like find a computer that still has a disk drive kind of learning.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But even with that, it's still a choice, right? Old ways or this new online thing. And that's where things get interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not just talking about the tech itself, but what's going on in these doctors' heads.
Right, like what's making them hesitant to jump on board the eCME train, even if it's, theoretically easier.
Well, the researchers, they found these two biggies, two things that really stuck out. Attitude and, this is a mouthful, perceived behavioral control.
Okay, attitude, that one tracks, right? Like, if you don't think online learning is any good, why bother? But break down this perceived behavioral control thing. What's that all about?
So it's actually simpler than it sounds. It's basically, can I actually DO this? Can I, as a doctor, with my skills and resources, make online learning work for me?
Oh, I see. So it's like, do they have the computer skills, the internet, even just the time in their busy schedules to make it happen?
Exactly. It's that mental image, right? If you picture yourself wrestling with tech, getting frustrated, not having a clue what you're doing, well, you're probably going to stick with what you know.
Totally. It's like I hear about a cool new cooking class, but then I'm like, wait, my kitchen's a mess. I don't even own a whisk. Maybe I'll stick to ordering takeout.
There you go. And here's another layer, right? Because we often think, oh, everyone's doing it, I should too. Especially in a professional setting, you'd figure that'd matter.
Yeah, like with other doctors, you hear a colleague raving about this online course, you'd at least be curious, wouldn't you?
You'd think so, right? But get this, in this study, peer pressure, what they call subjective norms, made zero difference.
No way. That's wild. Why do they think that is? Was it just that nobody was talking about this very basic eCME system?
That's very possible. Remember, it was mostly offline. No online forums, no community, no place for these doctors to be like, hey, anyone else try this CD-ROM? Thoughts?
Ah, so they're all just on their own little islands, learning-wise.
Exactly. So it's not just, can I do this? Do I like this? But also, is anyone else doing this with me? That social piece is missing.
Makes you think, right? Like how much of this Dr. ECME thing, it's actually happening in all parts of life. New tech comes out, some of us are early adopters, some are like, nah, I'm good.
Oh, absolutely. It's human nature. This whole thing, right? It's about how we see this new thing, how we feel about our own ability to even use it. It either pulls us in or pushes us away. We've all been there.
For sure. Like remember when those, what were they? Those hoverboards were a thing? Some people, they're zipping around having a blast. Others are like, I'm going to break an ankle just looking at that thing.
Exactly. And sometimes it's not even about the hoverboard itself, right? It's the story we're telling ourselves about it. Will this make my life better? Or am I going to look silly trying? Am I going to fail?
It's like that saying, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. We can psych ourselves out of anything.
Totally. And this is where having other people, like a community, makes a huge difference. If you see your friends, your colleagues, whoever, embracing something new, having success with it, you're way more likely to give it a shot yourself.
Oh, for sure. It's like if everyone's learning to knit, suddenly it's fun, it's social. If you're the only one struggling with yarn, it's like, forget this.
Right. So what's the takeaway here? If we want people to actually use new tech, new ways of learning, we got to do more than just hand it over. It's got to be about building confidence, showing them the good stuff, and making them feel like part of a community.
Show them how it makes their lives better, right? And then be there to help them along the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And it makes you wonder, with tech changing faster than ever, how do we keep making learning, especially e-learning, something that's actually good, that works for everyone?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder that one. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into, well, doctors' choices and maybe even a little bit of ourselves. Until next time, keep those brains engaged.